Also this afternoon, railway workers have voted to go on a national strike, threatening major summer travel disruption across the UK. Members of the RMT union have voted in favour of strike action across Network Rail and 13 train operating companies. The union said its leaders would meet to discuss a timetable for strike action in mid-June. The Department for Transport said strike should always be the last resort, not the first. A spokesperson said it is hugely disappointing and premature that the RMT is calling for industrial action before even entering discussions. Let's speak to Mick Lynch. He's the RMT General Secretary. Mick, good afternoon to you. So, bit premature. You haven't even got around the table. What's going on?
I'm around the table all the time, Ian. I've been talking to Network Rail and the train operators and indeed sometimes departmental officials from the Transport Ministry for nearly 2 years since COVID set in. And what they've told us is that they're ready to cut thousands of jobs. They want to make drastic changes to working practices. And for many of our people, we've got a continuous pay freeze. So the time has come because they've got these plans. We are talking to them all of the time. I've spoken to Network Rail this week. I'll be speaking to senior industry colleagues from the management side this week. I'm on the phone to them. We will try to get a deal if we can. We don't want to go on strike, but we're faced with some deadlines where redundancies may come in, and we want to make arrangements to handle that.
Yeah, there's a reality, though, isn't it, of life, I suppose, Mick. I mean, on the first point, the redundancy issue, it's never great, but it does happen from time to time, and it's not, organisations and structures do change, and sometimes that means losing some colleagues.
I get that. The railway has been evolving since the 1830s, Ian. So when it was invented, it was a change from the horse and cart. And maybe we had some members doing that at the time, but we constantly evolve. We had steam, we've had diesel, we've had electric, now we've got electronics, we've got apps, we've got artificial intelligence. We will negotiate these changes, and we will negotiate modernisation, as it's called, and flexibility, but we must do it in the context of some guarantees for our people that they can get a square deal. So none of this is new. We've been dealing with this for decades, especially since the 60s and the changes that came through in those days. And my union has always negotiated deals, and we also always get to a settlement in the end, and that's what we'll do in this one. But it is imperative that we put up a position that defends our people and gives us a mandate so that we can be strong at the negotiating table. Mm-hmm. And if we can't get an arrangement and they press ahead with some of these plans, that we've got the right to defend ourselves industrially.
Right. And how does that look? What would an RMT strike look like this summer?
Well, we've given a period of time now, and I've been approaching managers, senior managers, and trying to get some talks going, and we'll review it next week, our executive committee, as they call it, and we will decide whether we've made enough progress or we have to put some dates down. We have to give at least 2 weeks' notice when we declare strike action, so that still leaves more time. And we will get on with that process and work with the management and the companies to try and get a settlement. But what I have to say is that this is a national dispute. If there is action, it's Network Rail, which is a national company from the north of Scotland down to the tip of Cornwall, and we have got the vast majority of train operators involved in this because they come under the Department for Transport, who are guiding and directing the companies. So it will be an effective national strike, but I can't tell you today what forms and patterns that industrial action might take.
We're hearing about no trains after 7 p.m. and this kind of thing. Is that broadly something that... Did that come from you guys?
No, not at all. Those are decisions that the managers would make, the companies would make. They will try and get replacement people. They will try and get managers to do our members' work. They will qualify them in a couple of hours for safety critical tasks, which we think is a breach of the regulations. And they will try to run some kind of service. They always do. But that's their decision about what service they run. And it's also their decision to breach the safety regulations, which we think they do regularly during industrial disputes.
In terms of the manifestation of this, of course, there's lots of people out there, Mick, you know this, who are having a bit of a cost of living crisis. I know not all jobs on the railways pay the same wage. It's not one wage fits all. There's lots of different categories and different roles, etc. But it is, broadly speaking, a good, solid job with above average wages. Many people will be disappointed listening to this, thinking, hang on a second, you're going to stop me getting my kid to school. You're going to stop me seeing a sick relative. You're going to stop the family holiday. You're willing to do that for an extra tenner when you're already earning more than most people in this country.
Well, this is not true. It's a bit of a myth. Everyone refers to the train drivers' wages. Train drivers are a minority of people on the railway. The median wage of a railway worker that we cover, the blue-collar type people, the people you see on and about the system, and the maintenance people out on the track in the orange, is 31,000. That is a very moderate wage. It's not high paid. That is for a 24/7 operation. They work Saturdays and Sundays, they work round the clock, they work over Christmas and all the rest of it. They worked all the way through the pandemic. They don't have the luxury of working from home because they're out shoveling ballast or shunting trains and all the rest of it. It can't be done from home. So we don't get paid that highly. Many of my members are on salaries like 24,000. Some of them are on better than that, obviously, but the median is 31K. That is not a high salary. It's not the worst salary, I get that. And we want to keep our conditions, and we've got some good conditions that go with it. I don't want to see our salaries downgraded. And if you take inflation, the RPI inflation index last week, which includes housing, and most of us want a home, I think, was 11.1%. Now, we're not going to get that because that's not where the anniversary dates were. But that is the scale of losses that working class people are suffering. And I want all working people to have a square deal for their employers. So the people that are always quoted to me, the nurses, the care workers, the education workers, I want them to get a square deal. I want them to have their industries properly funded.
But you're also willing to impede their transportation to do that?
Well, I don't want to do that, but if I just let it go, if I let this go through with mass job losses, no pay rises, my members will end up in the same state as some of those workers who don't have the power.
But also they don't have pay rises either, Mick. I mean, you're probably sitting there as a... I don't know, what does an RMT General Secretary earn these days? I'm sure it's public knowledge, but I bet it's more than 31.
It's in our accounts. I'll tell you what my salary is £84,000 a year. I took a 20% pay cut last year because that's what I proposed to my AGM, and my delegates voted for it. I get paid well. I'm not complaining.
Yeah, and I wasn't trying to make mischief by asking you that, Mick. Yeah. I was just simply trying to sort of correlate how this plays out to people who need to use trains, and many people absolutely need to use trains. It's not it's not all about train spotters and people having a day out.
Yeah, but Ian, I'm here as a trade union to support all workers in Britain to get a decent deal. And for too long, since Cameron and Osborne got elected 12 years ago, or whatever it was, they have imposed austerity on all of those workers, those care workers, even the police and the military, the armed forces and the prison officers. All sorts of people have been suffering massive cuts in their earning power through these pay reviews that haven't been honoured and through these caps on public sector pay. And it's just come on top of us now. The utility bills are going up massively. The companies in this country are taking massive profits. Yesterday, I heard on one of the channels that we've got more billionaires than we've ever had, and the rich have never been richer. And while they suppress wages, they're transferring wealth from one group of people to another group of people, because those dividends and profits get paid out to people that are comfortably off. And the people that are paying the rise in prices on less wages, in effect, are ordinary men and women running our vital services and providing us for us in our shops, in our hospitals and in our schools and elsewhere. They need a square deal as well as my members, and I'll support anyone that wants to campaign for that. OK,
Mick, let's hope it doesn't come to strike action. Mick Lynch, RMT General Secretary.